Who controls information overwhelmingly controls mass perception.
Not many people ask themselves the question, why do I have to pay to live on the planet that I was born on? It's not a theory anymore.
They don't want us to know the true nature of reality.
Yeah, there's a conspiracy. There's people behind closed doors doing very bad things.
You don't need a scientific mind to understand the world.
Every problem is an opportunity, and this is a huge opportunity for us to address this corruption because the corruption is obvious.
You do not need an academic mind to understand the world. You need an open one. And if we are going to turn this world around, people have to take their perceptions back.
Look what they do to us. They're doing all sorts of things to us, folks, and this financial system is just eating up the planet. See, that's the thing, that the financial system is the head of the snake. So this is our life, this is our society, this is what we go through. We just have this society that does this to us. The answers lie with us. It's all to do with us. Every problem that we face is to do with us, and we can solve the whole lot. The economy is what it's all about. We're taught that the economy is all important. That's what all of our societies are based on. Politicians get praised for supporting the economy, for improving the economy. It's all about the economic model. And this is how we've built our prison. Because we are the ones who have built our own prison. We can blame the system all we want. Sure, the system is a lot to blame, but it's our participation in the system. What we've done through the education system, we've been given a misguided perspective of success. And in this way, we've built our own prison. And now we've got this meme, which basically enslaves us, but it's just an idea. The whole system is just an idea.
It's very clear that humanity is being manipulated generation after generation into what I might call a perceptual bubble. Perceptions are everything. What you perceive is how you behave. It's everything. It's your perceptions, what I would say programming, because if you look at a human life, you come out of the womb and you hit parental programming, which is not through malevolence, but the parents have been through what you're about to go through and bought it, so they pass that programming on to you. You hit the education system at an ever earlier age, and now throughout your formative years you've got representatives of the state who are giving you the state's version of everything all the way through your formative years. The media is pounding the same version of reality at you. Science is telling you that, and then you've got peer pressure around you that's been through the same programming of perception and accepted it and believed it, and they give you a hard time if you have a different perception to what they've been programmed to have. And basically, we've got a situation where from cradle to grave, a human life is a perceptual download.
Only on Becoming Supernatural.
Consensus waves away any idea that reality, as mainstream science tells us, ludicrous, that there can be any manipulation of human society by a non-human force we can't see, and all the perceptual download holds us in this narrow band of sense of the possible, and it puts people in bubbles. People are breaking out of them now more and more, but most people are still in this bubble, and this bubble has a reflex action response to anything that is not in the perceptual range of the bubble. So when people like me come out and say blah blah blah, we're being manipulated by a non-human force, the bubble reaction is you're mad. This is how the perception thing works. And what I'm saying is, when you study it deeply, these perceptual bubbles constantly are underpinned by what we call the education system, by the media and all that stuff. And journalists, where do they report the world from and observe the world from? The bubble, because they've been through the same perceptual download as everyone else. It's the blind leading the bloody blind, really. And so we have this situation where you've got this perceptual tram lines, and it's been done systematically.
Government is just an idea. Government isn't real. It's an idea that people write in books. And men with expensive suits go to these buildings and they do what it says in the book. And if they haven't got a way of extracting more wealth from you, they just write it in the book. They put a rubber stamp on it and they call it law, and we all go along with it. But it's just an idea. It's just an idea. It's not real, But we currently discard humanity in order to support this economic model. And that's what it's all about. Not many people ask themselves the question, why do I have to pay to live on the planet that I was born on? It's a really interesting thing, but we do. We have to pay to be alive. There's nowhere you can go to get away from this system. You've got to use the knowledge that you've got to confront the system. You've got to face it, put down the fear, and use your energy and face it. What we're dealing with here is something that's going on right around us right now, and we're going down all these rabbit holes looking for people to point the finger at. We're not looking at ourselves, we're not looking at what's happening around us. Every single problem that we face on this planet, whether it's pollution, whether it's homelessness, whether it's Fukushima that I showed you before, whether it's coal seam gas mining, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's the corporate rape of the Amazon, doesn't matter what it is, all of it happens because of legislation that's put in place by governments. And the governments get away with doing this because we live in disunited, disempowered communities because we've been trained to be that way. Now we're caught on this economic treadmill, running around judging ourselves by social and economic parameters, measuring each other by the size of our front doors and what type of car we drive, what we look like, what we dress like, what our rung on the social ladder is. That's all fiction. It's all parameters that have been put in place by other people to keep us divided, keep us squabbling with each other. And people have to understand there's been a series of steps that have brought us to this point. In this culture, there's this all or nothing kind of mentality. You know, I'm an anarchist, therefore I want total anarchy. We've got to crash the system today and we can all be free. It won't work that way because a lot of people aren't ready for self-governance. We have so many people that are awake now. We really do, and if we could get coordinated, we could make a difference. So we've got to stop judging each other. We've got to put things into action now, folks. We've got to stand up and call a spade a spade.
They don't want us to know the true nature of reality. They don't want us to know the true nature of history, because if we did, then the pennies would start to drop on why human society is as it is.
Only on becoming supernatural.
How mysteries can be explained with perfect, simple logic once you realize what reality is as opposed to what we're told it is. And if we are going to turn this world around, people have to take their perceptions back and realize that the world they think they've been experiencing all their lives ain't the one they're actually experiencing. And once you realize how this reality really works, then you start to understand that this cabal, it knows that. It knows how we decode reality. It knows that we decode reality and experience reality as a result of the perceptions we have. Thus, not only can they get people to believe things, but through the beliefs they get people to accept and to believe are real, they're also dictating people's experience. And the whole thing is a perceptual trick, a perceptual magic trick. Now, where do we get our perceptions from? We get them from information received. We get them from a personal experience, that's information. We get them from the 10 o'clock news. We get them off a Facebook post. We get them off a radio station or whatever. And from that information, we form our perceptions, which then become our behavior and responses. So who controls information overwhelmingly controls mass perception. And this is why this death cult controls the media. This is what all the censorship now is all about. It's to stop other information being received by people, to challenge the official narratives of everything, and in challenging them, as we've both seen the power of it, to change perception as a result of having an access to a different perspective and source of information. They're trying to cut that off. It's what it's all about. And this is why, to an extent, the mainstream media will go so far, because it has to maintain any credibility, like the Epstein thing. But it stops. It stops before the finger comes out the dime.
There's mechanisms in this system that we can use against itself. It's a double-edged sword. You know, I'm all for bringing the system down. I believe the whole legal system is crap. It's tripe. It's fiction. But still, there are elements in it we can use, simply because the people out there who are sleeping need to be spoken to in a language they understand. And these are the people we need to meet, we need to reach. Now, everything that we're seeing on the planet today, everything these politicians are doing, if you really want to get down to it, it's abuse of office. A lot of it. There are no leaders on this planet. We've got to get this idea of authority out of our heads. What these politicians are doing is they're using the power that we give them by the office that they hold to create, or to abuse their power, to create powers that they don't have. This is all abuse of office. And everything that we're facing on this planet, folks, is a humanitarian crisis. You know, the environment, all the damage we're doing to the environment, this is what supports life. This is a humanitarian crisis. All these things are humanitarian issues. The fact that you've got stuck homeless people, the fact that you've got people, rough sleepers out in the street, this is humanitarian. All of this, it's all humanitarian issues, but we whitewash it, we look at it as political issues, as economic issues, social issues. They're humanitarian issues. All of them are humanitarian issues. The problem is that we always put economy at the top of the food chain when really humanity needs to be at the top of the food chain. No one else can see the world through these eyes, no matter how flawed this vehicle is, no matter how flawed my emotional state is, no matter how inconsequential I feel. I am perfect at experiencing life from the perspective of Max Icke. No one else can do that, ever. And it isn't whether you're good or bad or fat or short or good looking or bad looking or this or that. It's about what you do with it, what you do with the information. What is your relationship with people? What is your relationship with the planet? That's what it's about. It's about creative potential. You know, we're here to experience humanity to its greatest potential, and we have the potential to be absolutely incredible. Can you imagine it if we all could see this perfection in ourselves and respected ourselves that much? Because when you see that, get that perfection, you go, wow. Suddenly, you see it in everybody. It's the same. There's no one better than anybody else. There's no one with any more value than anybody else. We all have value, but we've been taught that we don't. We've been taught to look for leaders and look for gurus, and someone's going to find a way out of this. Someone's going to lead me to safety. Or just follow, please. I'm reading it in the newsletters. Yes, we're winning, but I'm not participating. You've got to participate, folks. You've got to participate. You've got to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to speak your truth, and don't think anybody has authority over you. Don't think anybody has any power over you. You know? But don't attack people. You know, you don't go to the politicians and scream and rant and rave and protest and all this stuff. You just ask them, show cause. Show cause where you shouldn't be held in abusive office for blah, 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 blah. Please, show me. You know? And when you've got the whole community doing it, they go, oh my God. A lot of it is because of the business model, because of the economic model. We're always competing with each other. We've got this fear going on, like drip, drip, drip in the back of your mind, always there, no matter how connected you are. Got to pay the bills. Oh God, do I look like this? Oh, am I fat enough? Am I thin enough? Am I that? Does she like me? All this stuff going on. It's in people's minds all the time. You know, little inadequacies, which are parameters that are given to us by other people. And it happens so much. It really does. That's the society that we're in. So what we've got to do is find a way of breaking down these barriers and find a way of linking things up. And all of the different movements, you know, the chemtrails people and the fracking people and the this people and the that people, we're going to bring all this together because these are all the same issue. These are all symptoms of the same problem. Now, like I said, be it Fukushima, be it homelessness, be it starvation, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all part of the same problem.
Only on Becoming Supernatural.
From the correct perspective, we're hacking at the branches, but we're not striking at the root. We've got to strike at the root, but that's got to come from us. It's all got to come from us. You know, we've got to change our perspective of what we are, folks. Change perspective of what the nation is, and then we can get to a point where we don't need nations. You know, because all of this is fiction anyway. But there is enough stuff in the fiction that we can use to get ourselves out of this.
You don't need a scientific mind to understand the world. You do not need an academic mind to understand the world. You need an open one. And when you open to information as it exists, rather than stay on the postage stamp and ignore that, then you start to see the world as it is. Don't confuse the limits of your mind with the limits of possibility. They're not the same thing. You must keep the target population in conflict and at war with itself. Divide and rule, because while the target population is at war with itself, they are not seeing who's controlling all sides with the same hands on the strings. It's all about perception. because they know that perception becomes behavior, behavior becomes society. And you see this everywhere you go. When you're not telling the truth and you cannot explain yourself in a way that isn't sinister, then you have to lie. And if you lie, then your lies better be pretty damn bloody good, and you better be pretty damn bloody bright. If you keep repeating a lie, eventually it becomes true. And this is how they work. And the media, of course, which is ultimately owned by this cult, if you go deep enough, they play the game of repeating untruths till they become an everyone knows that name. This is a cult which has an agenda for human control on a global and technological level. We need to start going down this road and not being intimidated into silence and not being intimidated into sharing things. Why is this happening? Why are these people always being protected? And we've just got to grow some backbone because the evidence is there and it just needs to come out. The mainstream everything, whether it's mainstream science, mainstream media, mainstream politics, mainstream everything, is telling you what the mainstream everything's ultimate controllers, which if you go deep enough is the cult, wants you to believe. So the mainstream media basically says question nothing. Then you've got RT saying question more, but not too much. And then you've got people like me who say question everything, everything. Take everything off the table as a gimme. Familiarity is a wonderful way of mind-controlling perception, because once something becomes familiar, becomes a gimme, it becomes unquestioned. That's just how things are. Everyone knows that, mate. Question everything. And when you do, you'll see almost none of it stands up. Not least the nature of reality and who we are and where we are. And that's why they're censoring people that are exposing aspects of the cult agenda. That's what it's all about. And so you can either sit around and moan about it and say, oh, you know, tough innit? Oh, you know, I'm a martyr. Or you can say, okay, are we going to deal with it? So we have to deal with it and prepare for it. And that's what we've done.
We're really limited in our potential because of what we believe we are capable of. But if we can create matter by observing it, and we can create this whole mess, which is a product of our imagination, the whole thing. We live in a paper-based reality, folks. A paper-based reality. And we're getting away with it because, oh, we can't do anything. It's law. It says on the piece of paper. It says on the piece of paper that I can't do anything. I've got to let this happen because there's nothing I can do about it. It's all abuse of office. You know, the alternate media needs to provide a safety net for people who are waking up to the reality of the situation, and you need to be providing pathways to solutions. I don't know what all the solutions are. I'd like to. I've been trying, but I can't do it without your help. You know, we all need to link up our minds together and do this together because everybody's got a piece of the puzzle. Everybody has value. Everybody has something valid to offer. We really do. We can't shut each other down. We can't have our movements. We need to link everything together, folks. We really do, because otherwise this is what we're going to get, stuff like this. Never before in history has the system been laid so bare. We've got the internet, we've got communication right around the planet. Never before in history.
Only on Becoming Supernatural.
Everything been laid so bare, and have we had the ability to unite this planet in one global shift in consciousness? This is it. This is the most important time ever. Every problem is an opportunity, and this is a huge opportunity for us to address this corruption, because the corruption is obvious now. It's not a theory anymore. Yeah, there's a conspiracy. There's people behind closed doors doing very bad things, and everybody's suffering because of it. So folks, that's the path we're on. That's the legal system that we've got, but there are elements within it. But we've got to have a strong communal response. So what you've got to do is find ways of breaking down the barriers in your community. This is the greatest opportunity in human history. All we have to do is stand up and participate. That's all we have to do, folks. Align your focus with the solution, not the problem. The key to saving yourself from this heartless transgender world is right in your face. But that's it, folks. You can be the change. You are the change. That's what you're here for. That's what this time in history is, and that's why you all chose to participate. So please participate.